Well, hi there and welcome to Dorset in the beautiful English countryside, where today I'm at home with one of equestrian sports and I'm going to embarrass him here. Biggest superstars it is, of course, Christopher Burton. Chris, Berto, welcome. Thanks for having us.
Pleasure, Amy. Good to see you.
Yeah, great to be here. Now, we have a lot to talk about today. A lot to talk about. So we sit down and have a chat?
We do. It's some exciting stuff. Let's go have a chat.
Chris, Berto, we're here at Chedington. As we said, we've got lots to talk about today. But I think when we look around here, it is absolutely stunning, isn't it? It's so beautiful here.
It's an amazing part of the world. I think when every time someone comes down to see the place, they see why we're based here and why we find it so hard to leave.
You grew up in Queensland, rural Australia. You've made this huge journey all the way over here. When you're riding around here, the sea on one side, the beautiful facilities here at Chedington, was this the vision all the way back then when you were growing up?
No, that's an interesting question. I think about that a lot, and of course the UK also is beautiful in its own way, but we all miss home, don't we? We all miss Australia. We were just very fortunate that thanks to Dr. Guy and Kate Guy, that Chedington came along. And we made the brave decision to base there. It was a big thing to do. I was quite scared. We had a good business up in Surrey, and I had a young family to pay for and look after. But they're fantastic people, and these facilities certainly give you no excuse to not perform well. Personally, obviously, I had to take a break from eventing some years back, as some people might know, and I just needed to step out of the sport for a while. And I know that was tough on my darling wife, and I know that was, tough financially. Luckily for me, I was able to sort of slip into show jumping, which has always been a passion of mine. I had the support of the Guy family, so I ended up with two amazing Grand Prix horses that were jumping and campaigning towards Paris Olympics. And needless to say, now I'm back eventing again.
We may have buried the lead there, but we are just a matter of weeks since this big announcement that you are coming back. You're making the comeback. And not only are you coming back, you are taking on this incredible challenge of this attempt to qualify in two sports, not just one.
Yeah, but look, it is a dream, but we're certainly giving it our best shot. We're putting our best foot forward, that's no secret. Shadow Man came across the table and I came in one afternoon and I said to my darling wife, "How do you feel about me going eventing again?" To which she said no. Hard no. He's always been a horse that I've loved and I've thought a lot of, and we were able to acquire him thanks to Ben being generous and reluctantly handing up the reins, and I can see why it would be so hard for him, because it's a beautiful animal. Although I've got a mountain to climb to get qualified and to get to know him, being face selection and possibly the Olympics, it's quite an easy mountain because the horse is amazing and Ben's done an amazing job with him.
He's an incredible horse. I would have loved to have been in that room or a fly on the wall, as I'm sure anyone would have been on the day when you went, yeah, no, that's a good idea, let's do it. Definitely, it's a great idea, let's do it. What was the background into that? And what were those conversations like amongst your peers here, family, friends?
Well, it was a long road. It wasn't, obviously we had to, we sort of acquired 1% of the horse on the very last hour of the day that you can have the horse's name in the passport to ride to go to the Australian Federation. What's been amazing, for anyone that knows, we have Tim and Janelle Price based here, and of course they're our colleagues and our competitors, but they're also our very good friends, and they were so supportive of it. I think I'll get them in trouble with their federation now, but they were incredibly supportive of it. It was really, really nice, and helped me sort of get it across the line and keep pushing it.
Yeah. I say that's a big task. I don't know, I've got a really good feeling that...
That's good, I'll take that.
Oh, yeah, I'll take it.
Thank you. Any good feelings, send them this way.
Exactly, why not? Just have a go. Have a crack, as they'd say.
Yeah, well, that's how I always lived my youth, to be honest. And I remember being a young rider with just nothing to lose, and the same with my sort of notorious reputation, which I didn't enjoy towards the end of my career, about being a fast rider. Is that I honestly just thought why not go for it? I didn't understand why people would have time thoughts.
Okay, fair enough. Why didn't you like that, the reputation? That's interesting.
Yeah, well, it did put a lot of pressure on me.
Sure.
in the end, and slightly sort of, I was expected to go fast every time, which wasn't necessarily good for the longevity of the horses, and potentially, could have ended in disaster for me as well. But it just wasn't something that I was that proud of, although I knew that I could be a very fast rider at any stage. And again, I don't believe that skill set ever leaves you.
If we go back to that time where you stepped away from the sport, because it's an interesting time, it's sort of before an Olympics, and then everything changes and the string of horses changes. And that must have been a real, as you said, sort of touched on, an emotional time for you, and something that would have been tricky to navigate, I imagine.
Yeah, look, it was no small thing in my life, that's for sure. I say non-selection for Tokyo, but I was selected. But unfortunately, we had a string of bad luck with soundness problems in the horses, and the mare that I was selected on wasn't right, and I pulled her out of contention, and then the Australian team wasn't prepared to take me on the other horse that I had qualified, and so it was a lot to go through. It was a big deal, but I've been amazed when I've come back to eventing how much I'm enjoying it again, and how much fun it is. Do you know what was incredibly humbling in that? I obviously was letting down these owners, who are our real sponsors, if we're honest. These people are with us all the way, and we've had a wonderful ride with so many of our good owners. And we drove to their houses and sat with them and said, look, I'm so sorry to do this to you, but I need to take a break from the sport of eventing. And with a few small exceptions, they were all amazing. They said, look, don't do it if you don't want to be doing it. Stop what you're doing right now. And so many of them even supported us into the sport of show jumping. It was incredible. They said, sell our eventing horse and we'll buy a jumping horse. So I've been incredibly fortunate like that to have their support. And there's too many of them to list, but they all know who they are, and I'm so grateful for them.
And so off you went on this show jumping journey, and it's worth pointing out that you're part of that team that qualifies Australia for a show jumping team for Paris. So there's a really strong possibility that the show jumping thing is happening. Then you decide you're also going to give the eventing thing a crack. No wonder your wife was displeased with you, Christopher Burton.
I think that's right. I think that's exactly right. We already had enough on our plate, and then I've thrown this into the mix. But, it's better to be busy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So tell me a little bit about the eventing thing. I think obviously had a lot to do with the horse. Is it a lot to do with Shadow Man himself, or was it a combination of several factors?
It really was Shadow Man. He came across the table. We got a whiff that he was for sale, and it was absolutely him. I've always wanted him and always thought a lot of him. Now I see why Ben would have a hard time ever thinking about selling him. He's a beautiful animal, and he's extraordinary to ride, and an amazing mind. And it's just, Janelle and I touched on it earlier, it's rare that you have an eventing horse that can do all three phases, and he really can.
It's definitely lit a fire in your belly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you look
Really
more
it was fun.
motivated than ever.
Yeah.
And I think you realise that you actually do quite like eventing.
I do. Cool. I loved the ride on Clever Lewis. It was so much fun.
I'm surprised you how easily you've come back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't forget it. It's amazing.
yeah.
And then I was even thinking about, what do I do with my position over a drop fence? But you don't even think about it. Your body just does
it's just
it.
natural.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've
But I haven't been out of it that long, have I?
quite a long time.
Yeah.
3 years.
I'm pleased that dressage riding came back to me. That was reassuring. Whereas this one I've got to get to know in a hurry.
Yeah, in some ways it's a harder task, isn't it? Because the things like just getting those changes and those sort of things a bit more on your aids and how you want them, that actually takes time. It's like a 6-month project.
Exactly.
And you've got to try and fast track it to 2 months. Whereas like you say with Clever Lewis, it was a bit more like hopping on an old bike. Or,
Yeah.
You actually you knew him and you have all those experiences to recount.
Yeah.
Well, Beck, you've been referred to as my beautiful wife, my lovely wife, my patient, amazing, incredible wife. Tell me, I think we should start things off with this amazing idea for an adventure. Let's go qualify for 2 different sports at the Olympic Games in 6 months' time.
How did you feel when Chris told you he was going back to eventing?
Oh, I was so excited. I mean, to see him back cross country is, you know, where he belongs. And
Tell the truth.
but I am telling the truth.
Tell him the truth.
But okay, I said no. The idea kept formulating. Bert and I have been married for 8 years, so it's not the first harebrained idea I've said no to and then come around on. It's a little bit how we work. He has amazing big ideas, and my lawyer brain says, here's all the things that are wrong with that idea and why we shouldn't do it. And then we meet somewhere in the middle. So we sort of yin and yang, and generally it always works out. So yeah, he's definitely the big thinker. Just quite cool, challenging, challenging but cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I'm afraid to say my first reaction was no, but we've worked it through. We've come around, and now we're on board. Some days I do regret it. There's a lot of logistics in this couple of months push for the Olympics, but it is very cool and very exciting. And I, of course, think there is only one person can do it, and that's my amazing, darling husband.
But you're in the thick of it now. How are you feeling about the run down to the Games?
I haven't had much chance to stop and feel, if I'm honest. It's been quite, working with various deadlines, trying to get this deal across the table, get the purchase sorted before various deadlines and negotiations and contracts and all that kind of thing. So that's sort of been a challenge. And then, of course, entering the events the last minute, or what feels like the last minute for someone that likes to be very organised. Just getting things sorted like carnets and all the stuff you need for Europe. And then, of course, we had the logistics of getting the horse to Montelibretti. So he got picked up from Ben's and went straight from there to Dover and then over to Italy. And we were out in Sunshine Tour when all of this was sort of going on. So we had a truck coming back from Sunshine Tour that, of course, had all Chris's gear in.
So you had a truck coming from the Sunshine Tour with the tack on it, and one coming from here with the horse on it.
Yeah.
They had to meet in the middle,
Swap a few things over.
and then carry on their journeys.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is going to be what happens as we roll through the next few months.
This is why I don't have time to think about how I feel.
What was the discussion like between the two of you about, talk us through that, like making that decision to say, let's throw all our cards out on the table, why not?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of it comes down to, when does this chance happen again, doesn't it? Do we look back and regret not doing it? And that's something that, like I say, Berto is much more of that mind naturally than I am. I'm a very cautious person, so I like things to be safe and sensible. But again, we do things together, and that sort of, basically that is what got me over the line. Is I feel like if we don't go for this together, that we'll always look back and regret it. But if we go for it and it goes wrong, we'll be fine.
We're very fortunate to have Hazy Tulana. Thank you to Chedington and once again Jeffrey Guy. I've also been fortunate enough to have a second Grand Prix horse come along with Jacksonville. He's really fun, he's a big scopy horse, and he's really careful, and he's nice and simple too, which we enjoy. Hazy is already qualified. She has to perform well at some 4 and 5 star shows to convince the selectors in selection. And Jacksonville, we're attempting to do some 3 and 4 star shows to get him qualified at this stage, but it would be nice to have him as a backup as well.
What is D-Day for you in terms of the decisions?
At this stage, there isn't. We just keep going through the motions. So, for example, we were out in Montelibretti trying to get qualified. We did the 3 star, which you have to do on a horse that hasn't competed in a while, for a rider that hasn't competed in a while as well. And then we were next week to do the 4 star, and the horse he pulled his shoe off and he got a hoof abscess. Would you believe it? It was just incredibly bad luck. So I say that's the plan. These things, and anyone that has horses know, these things never go to plan. So we diverted to Holland, where we did the 4 star there last weekend, and he's come through that well. We just keep our eye on the target, and we just keep doing what we do and doing our best.
How did you feel going into it?
Yeah, I was obviously it was at the forefront of my mind, but I was sort of quietly confident that your skill set doesn't leave you. But I was relieved and delighted to see that they really don't. When I went to dressage, riding was still there, and I could still ride cross country. So yeah, I loved it. I had a great ride on Clever Lewis, and I had a wonderful ride on Shadow Man, and had a lot of fun.
First, a little bit of a change of location. You're in your fitness gear, ready to work out, but it's all right here on the property. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, the great thing about Chedington is they provide us with a guide. I actually didn't know what one was until recently.
You learned it from The Simpsons.
But fortunately, Tamara's here to sort of point me in the right direction and crack the whip on me.
Very good. Well, we don't want to keep you from your workout. Go for it.
This is going to be embarrassing.
I'm very grateful to be able to support Berto on this journey. The key thing in the gym is really just to build a bulletproof body, especially when it comes to eventing. It's a highly demanding sport, and we want to build a very strong body just to prevent any injuries from possible falls, but also just improve overall posture and just strength, and build the back up and the core to protect the back, and also just lots of lower body strength. So it goes all in all into the dressage discipline, show jumping discipline, and just for the lower leg strength as well. Key is just to get healthy, get strong, and just build up that cardiovascular health as well, and fitness.
What's he like as a client, as a student?
Am I supposed to be honest, or? No, he's great. I know he's a big perfectionist, and he's annoyingly very talented. So any exercise I give that he's never done before, I'll just explain a bit, he does it once and then he's got it. Whereas other people tend to take maybe 1 or 2 sessions to get it. So that's very annoying for some people. But other than that, no, he's really great. He listens and he does everything he's asked to do. A bit of complaining sometimes, but I try and push him a little bit so we can reach our goals and just get him ready for the day.
If you can qualify in both these sports for this game's incredible accolade, one of the very few athletes ever to do it. Is that something you're conscious of all the time, or are you just more out there to have fun and enjoy
I'd be lying if I had said that doesn't slip into my head. Of course it does. I mean, there's the great Sir Mark Todd, who did show jumping and eventing. Luis Alvera from Spain did show jumping and eventing at the same games. And maybe Ingrid's father, Dr. Rainer Klimke, did dressage and eventing. Of course, it'd be a fantastic dream, but at this stage, I don't let it creep in too much. I just keep focusing on where the horses are, where we're at, and continuing to strive for the best, which we do all the time.
It's been lovely to chat to you. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, thanks for your support. It's great chatting with you too.
We wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's been an incredible day getting to chat to Chris and everyone here at Chedington about this amazing adventure they are about to embark upon, and we will be following them every step of the way. And make sure you tune in. There will be a second instalment of this series of At Home with Christopher Burton. Thanks for joining us.